I'm Carol Talbot, the creator and founder of the Possibility Hub, taking you beyond the boundaries of who you believe yourself to be and opening up to new possibilities. What gives me a buzz is to make people think and feel differently, to experience the world differently. I love learning, and as a seeker and explorer, I've travelled far and wide, spending over 30 years studying with many wonderful teachers and masters, learning to utilise many different tools, many different techniques to create rapid shifts. I'm the author of You, the Divine Genius, and my passion, my desire, is to create opportunities for an expansion of awareness and consciousness, to allow you to step into a fuller focus of who you really are. This podcast is an advocate for awakening, encouragement, and supporting the development of your superhuman abilities. Just imagine how your life would change if you lived in an open state of awareness where anything is possible. Have you ever felt like you've been running toward a dream for so long, only to stand there, breathless, wondering what's next once you arrive? Well, I've been there too. In this episode, you'll get to explore the liminal spaces between dreams, achievements, and the next horizon. I'm diving into a feeling that many people experience and rarely talk about. The now what moment after reaching a long sought after goal. Let me take you back to my journey of working toward my PhD in quantum morphogenetic physics over the past 3 years. It's been a monumental time in my life, studying, researching, regular online lectures, knowledge checks, activations, new techniques, and so much more, all leading up to a thesis that consumed more than 6 months of my energy. Every day I poured myself into my thesis, every thought leading to that climactic moment when I would finally defend my research in front of a panel. The day came, and I did it. I received my PhD, something I'd visualized and dreamed about for so long. And what came after? That quiet pause, almost an anticlimax. After the graduation ceremony, I remember standing there, degree in hand, asking myself, now what? And it wasn't just about my career or next steps, it felt bigger than that. Now, you may have been taught to strive for these big milestones, whether it's academic, professional, or personal. And what happens when you've actually achieved them? If you cast your mind back to your childhood, growing up, you're constantly asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? Who do you want to be when you grow up? As though there's one finite answer and one destination to arrive at. Well, here's the truth that no one tells you. The journey doesn't end there. Life isn't a straight line. It's a web of decisions, timelines, and possibilities. And once you reach one milestone, another horizon appears. There's always more to explore, more to learn, and more to become. So let's first talk about that space in between, the liminal space. Now, the concept of liminal space refers to a threshold, a place of transition between one state of being and another. It's that ambiguous, often uncomfortable in-between where you're no longer what you were and not yet what you will become. And in this space, all possibilities exist, except none have taken form. It's a moment of stillness, and also one of immense potential. And this is the space where transformation happens, though it can feel disorientating as there's no clear path forward, just endless possibilities. In the context of re-envisioning, the liminal space is where you often find yourself after achieving a major goal. You've reached the top of a mountain and there's a vast horizon ahead with no clear markers for where to go next. So you're standing in that space between what was and what could be, waiting for the next step to materialize. One powerful way to explore this idea further is through the lens of storytelling, like in the Apple TV series Constellation. Now, without giving too much away, Constellation delves into a story where the characters exist in these liminal in-between spaces, both literally and metaphorically. And the series blurs the line between reality and the unknown, with characters navigating multiple versions of themselves and grappling with choices that define their identities. Each decision opens up new timelines, different realities, and different outcomes, echoing the concept of the quantum space where all possibilities are alive. What Constellation shows you is that liminality is not just a pause or a space of confusion. It's where the real work of transformation happens. In the series, the characters are forced to confront who they were, who they could have been, and who they want to become. And it's in this space of uncertainty that they gain clarity as well as power. In the liminal space, you're in a constant state of becoming. You're suspended between the past and the future with the ability to shape what comes next. This mirrors what you go through after reaching a major goal, like, for me, achieving my PhD or any personal milestone. You're no longer the person you were before that achievement, and yet you haven't fully stepped into what comes after. So it's a space ripe for reflection, growth, and reimagining yourself. So when you find yourself in this in-between space, remember that it's not a dead end, but a launching pad for the next phase of your journey. And like the characters in Constellation, you're standing at the crossroads of infinite timelines, each representing a different potential future. What you choose to do with that space is entirely up to you, and within it lies your power to re-envision your path. In this sense, the liminal space is less about waiting and more about preparing, envisioning, and ultimately deciding how you want to emerge into your next reality. So it's a moment of pure potential, and it's where some of the most important shifts in your life can occur. A time to be quiet, contemplate, reflect, and move your attention, or rather your intention, inwards. Because it's often in the quiet that the most profound realizations arrive. So let's talk about these timelines for a moment. Have you ever visited a psychic, clairvoyant, or perhaps had a tarot reading? And maybe they made strikingly accurate predictions about your future, or perhaps their insights didn't quite hit the mark. The experience can leave you wondering how they arrive at these visions of what lies ahead. And I've often felt that what they perceive, whether it's through visions, feelings, or intuitive hits, is really just a snapshot of one potential timeline, the one that might seem most likely in that moment. And here's the thing, you're not bound to just one path. The future's not a fixed destination. It's a field of infinite possibilities. What a psychic tunes into is like a radio dial set to a particular station. It's not the only broadcast available, just the one that's clearest or most prominent based on where you're currently at in life. And every choice you make, every thought you entertain, and every belief you hold shapes and shifts you into different timelines. You're not stuck on one linear trajectory because you are the creator of your reality, constantly stepping into new potentials and opening doors to alternative futures. Now, the idea of multiple timelines suggests that you have immense power in shaping what comes next. As I said, your actions, mindsets, even the smallest shifts in awareness can alter the course of your life. So what psychics and clairvoyants often tap into is just one thread in the web of possibilities, one version of your future that you can choose to step into, or you can decide to weave a different path entirely. This brings me to the fascinating concept of timelines and how, by re-envisioning your desires and choices, you can begin to actively shift into new dimensions of reality. You live in one timeline, and there are countless others where you've made different choices, explored different options, and lived out entirely different lives. Now, for those of you familiar with the TV series Dark Matter on Apple TV, or Blake Crouch's novel of the same name, you know how mind-bending this concept can be. In these alternate timelines, you're still you, just living different versions of the life you know. So when you ask, now what? It's worth remembering somewhere another version of you is exploring that what-if question you've left behind. And going back to that in-between space, between the goals, between the decisions, between the timelines, the liminal or luminal space, this is where all possibilities exist, not yet formed and yet full of potential. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, gazing out at a sea of endless opportunities and not yet knowing which way the wind will blow you. So some call it the quantum space, where every possible outcome exists simultaneously until you, with your thoughts, your choices, and your energy, you collapse that wave of potential into just one reality. Now, I appreciate and know that that's a lot to wrap your head around, so let me just break it down. What if this now what feeling isn't an end? It's an invitation into that space of infinite potential. What if, after every goal you reach, you're not meant to stay still, but to continue evolving, exploring, and imagining new possibilities? Many people often think of life as a ladder, climbing to the next achievement, and I like to think of it as more like a galaxy with countless stars to explore, some familiar, some unknown, and all there waiting. So why did I call this episode Re-Envisioning? Let me break down the word re-envisioning for you to explore its deeper meaning. First, let's look at that word in-vision. The word vision itself, of course, refers to the ability to see, whether physically or metaphorically. And when you add in to it, it transforms the meaning. In-vision implies an internal seeing, the kind of vision that comes from within, from your intuition, your imagination, and your deeper sense of purpose. It's not just about what's in front of you in the physical world. It's about what you feel, what you dream, and what you know to be true on a soul level, on a spirit level. So when I talk about envisioning, it's about tapping into that internal guidance and clarity that exists beyond the noise of everyday life. Now consider adding the word ing, I-N-G. The word vision then becomes a verb, visioning, an ongoing active process. Ing suggests movement, progression, and flow. It implies that envisioning is not a one-time event. It's something dynamic, continuous, and evolving. It's a process of looking inward again and again, seeking new insights and new possibilities as you and life changes. Envisioning isn't static. It's fluid, ever-changing. Then you come to re-envisioning. And of course, the re prefix is key because it reminds you that you're not just visioning once. You're constantly re-envisioning your life, your career, your health, your relationships. And the re implies repetition and renewal. The idea that life isn't a one-time process of goal setting and achievement. It's a cycle of continuous re-evaluation and recreation. You reach milestones. You grow, you change, and then you look inward again to see what's next. And you know what? There's another layer to this process, and it involves looking back as well as forward. Often you're advised to focus solely on the future, on what you want to create or where you want to go, who you want to be. While forward vision is crucial, it's just as important to pause and reflect on where you've been, on who you've been, on how you've been. When you look back, you remind yourself of your past achievements, those moments of brilliance that reflect your resilience, creativity, and growth. You know, it's a powerful practice to revisit your successes, not to dwell in nostalgia, literally to re-anchor yourself in your own capabilities. It's this reflection that becomes a reminder of how far you've come. You re-see the challenges you've overcome, the dreams you've already made real, and the growth that might have felt impossible at the time, yet you went on to achieve it. And in many ways, it's like collecting evidence of your own brilliance, gathering these moments as proof that you are fully capable of shaping the future that you desire. By re-envisioning, you not only project forward, you also pull strength from the past, merging your history with the infinite potential ahead. It's this blend of looking inward, backward, and forward that allows you to step into the cycle of renewal with confidence, knowing that you've already demonstrated your ability to create, evolve, expand, and thrive. So when I talk about re-envisioning, I'm talking about the powerful act of returning inward time and time again to redefine and realign your vision for the future. It's a process of ongoing self-reflection and course correction, whether it's in your career, where you've reached maybe a certain level and now ask, what next? Or in your health, where you recognize the need for change and growth, or perhaps in your relationships, which are constantly evolving. Re-envisioning is about embracing this continuous cycle. In each of these areas, the process of re-envisioning allows you to adapt, grow, and stay aligned with your deeper values and desires. Because life itself is a journey, or even a joyful dance, as I prefer to call it, a joyful dance of perpetual becoming and re-envisioning how you navigate that path. It encourages you to regularly pause, look within, and imagine new possibilities for yourself, possibilities that are rooted in who you truly are and what you truly want at every stage of your life. And this is what makes re-envisioning such a profound practice. It's a way to ensure that you're not just living life passively, you're actively co-creating your reality, constantly reimagining what you're capable of and what you want your life to look like, feel like, sound like from the inside out. And this is what re-envisioning is about. Redefining what success and fulfillment means to you. It's not about stopping at a destination. Of course, you can stop at any destination and be a sightseer for a while. It's also constantly and continuously expanding your vision, your identity, and your connection to the world around you. In the same way, when I reached that pinnacle of earning my PhD, I'm now rethinking what I want next and how that fits into the broader scope of my life. Because I'm not done, far from it, and this moment is just one milestone in a much, much bigger picture. Now, perhaps you're at a similar point in your life. You've achieved something you've worked so hard for, and now you feel uncertain. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's part of the process. Everyone steps into this in-between space at different points in life, and instead of seeing it as an ending or a place of confusion, what if you saw it as a time to expand your horizons, to reimagine what's possible, to go out and explore and maybe experience things you've never done before, for the sheer pleasure, for the joy, or to see how they make you feel. An example of this would be probably over 6 months ago now. I experimented and went to an aerial hoop class, aerial trapeze as well. I loved it so much that I go to regular classes now. Before I started these classes, it wasn't in even the realm of possibility. I never thought about doing the wonderful routines that we do that challenge me mentally, physically, and help me build strength. And I, as I said, just love it. So imagine an artist who spent years painting a masterpiece. Every stroke was carefully thought out, every colour chosen with precision. And finally, the painting is finished. And it's everything they hoped it would be. Instead of feeling complete, they now stand in front of a new blank canvas. And the question arises, what now? In that moment, the artist isn't lost. They're filled with possibility. The blank canvas represents endless new creations. This is the moment of re-envisioning, when you realize that the blank canvas isn't empty. Rather, it's full of potential. So before I finish up this podcast, let me give you a short summary to support you in that what next space. First of all, acknowledge the liminal space. After achieving a big goal, a dream, or aspiration, just take time to sit in the in-between. Allow yourself to feel the pause, to celebrate where you've been and where you are, rather than rushing to the next thing. Reflect on past achievements, so take a moment to look back and remind yourself of past successes and how far you've come. And it's this reflection that strengthens your belief in your ability to keep creating new possibilities. Next, re-envision your next steps. Rather than see the what next moment as an obstacle, see it rather as an opportunity to envision new horizons. What excites you now? Where do you want to expand or grow? And then shift your focus inward. Rather than only looking at external goals, shift your attention to internal desires. What do you feel called to create or explore in this next phase of your life? How do you want to feel? And finally, embrace the cycle. Because life is not about reaching a final destination, it's a continuous loop of creation, reflection, and reimagination. So embrace the cycle as part of your growth. If you're feeling the weight of what next, or the quiet after the storm of a big achievement, just remember that this isn't the end of your story. It's simply the beginning of the next chapter. You get to re-envision your future, your purpose, and your path forward. And remember, there's no single answer to what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? There are infinite answers, each timeline, each decision, and each day offering a new possibility to explore. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and as always, I'm delighted to be sharing possibilities with you. If you want more, then check out the link at my website to the 11-Day Mind Power Challenge at thepossibilityhub.com, or tune into my YouTube channels, The Possibility Hub or Carol Talbot, for new, insightful interviews each week. And if you feel that others can benefit from listening in, then please share, review, or like, or follow me on Instagram, Carol K. Talbot. Remember, you're always more than you think you are.